you're outside of a company. You want to be employed by the company. Now you have a couple of different choices. You could either start at the bottom and then go up internally, which means like, you apply for a job, deal with the recruiter, and then see if they select you, and then you go up internally. Or you could start at the top. You start with the executives and you go down, right? And I used to teach a course in business school. It was about networking, and we did this thing. And what I did was I showed all the students, like, this is like using things like Google Maps and LinkedIn. This is how you can contact people at companies and you can get in. You can get informational interviews with these different people. And then whatever you're wanting from then on, it splits off. If you're looking for a job, you can get that. If you're looking to partner with them, like as a contractor or something, you can get that. If you're just looking to learn, like you're a student, you're looking to see if you want to go into that industry and make your career in that industry. So you want them to give you a tour and kind of give you some insights into it. You can get that. There's like it just splits off into like these different goals that you might have, right? And what I got the students to do was to start with the CEO. So when you contact the company, start at the top, start with the CEO, and then go down. So what that usually involved was having an informational interview with the CEO of the company. So they all the students had to, for this course, they all had to go out and get informational interviews with the CEOs of companies in our town here, our city. And they didn't know these people. I didn't know these people. They had to go and learn how this stuff works, learn what to say, and make it happen, and it is a numbers game. Some people will say no, and some people won't respond, but some people will say yes. Just like applying for jobs. Most people, you don't hear back, but some people occasionally say yes, and they invite you in. In this case, it would be for a job interview, but it's the same idea. You start at the top and work down. Now, pretty much almost all the students in the class, every time I taught this for a couple of years, I think 3 years, they all got informational interviews with CEOs. Like there was a couple of like one or two exceptions that didn't manage to pull this off, but pretty much almost everybody did. And then some people, they ended up getting jobs. Other people, they got tours. Other people, they just had a couple of informational interviews they had the CEO, and then they did one with somebody lower down in a department that they actually cared more about. So it kind of split off from there. But the goal was to teach them networking, to teach them like what you can do. So whatever information that you're looking for about an industry or whatever, it exists out there in somebody's mind. Now, you need to find out who that person is, be able to contact them, to be able to sit down with them and ask them questions, and they can give you that information, whatever it is, right? So that was the idea behind it. So it was always better to start at the top and move down than it was much harder to start at the bottom and go up. Like a couple of students got hired doing this, and like I've said this a couple of times since then, but one of the students had the CEO of the company hand the director of HR their resume and say, like, look into this person. It's pretty powerful when it's coming down from the CEO. Do you think the director of HR is going to say, no, I got my own process to filter people? No, what they're going to say is yes, sir, or yes, ma'am, and they're just going to do it. You know what I mean? So like that's the advantage in this. If you know who to contact and what to say and how to present yourself, a lot of people say no, some people say yes. And of the ones that say yes, you line up a bunch of informational interviews. You're meeting with like some pretty important people in your industry, right? And sometimes it just doesn't really click and it doesn't go anywhere, but a lot of times it does. And either you can go back to them for a job or you can hit them up as like a contact, and like ask them questions and stuff in the future and things like this. Or you can kind of sleep on it. And then maybe a month later, you see that company posts a job. You might be able to do something with that, or you just keep pursuing hidden jobs or whatever. It can go a variety of different ways. So, but this is stuff that we did. And I don't know why I'm talking about this, but one of the things was the students got bonus points for sending in a selfie with them and the person they did an informational interview with, which was usually the CEO. So we got a lot of my students that, had all selfies, like shaking the hand of the CEOs of various companies in my hometown. And some of them were like the big companies, So, but it's like learning like how this stuff works and what these people actually do. Most people, they start off, especially young people, they start off with this attitude that like, who am I to even like talk to that person? Like they're up there, I'm down here. So I'm not going to bother because no good will come of it. And it's like, the problem is that everybody who can do something for you, whether it's give you a job or recommend you to someone or whatever, they're all like above your level. You know what I'm saying? You can't have a problem with like talking to people just because they're above your level. Those are the people that can help you. People that are at your level or lower, they can't really do anything for you. They don't know anything. They don't have any power to hire you or whatever, work with you. You have to realize that as like the very first step. Because I always started that course with the students saying, that can't be done. You know, I don't even want to bother because it's an impossible task. And then you show them like, here's all the selfies of all the students that have actually done it. And they go, oh, okay. And then they're willing to entertain it, right? I'm a former CEO. I mean, it's not this weird, untouchable thing that like you're some kind of person way up that, you know, you don't even associate with like people that need jobs. I mean, it's like, no. Most companies are small. Also, that's the other thing. Most companies, I mean, I don't know, you can look it up in your region, whatever country you're in, whatever region of the country you're in, you can look up. The government will usually publish this information. They'll tell you, here's the average size of companies in this region. Here's the average number of employees in those companies. And like where I am, the average size of companies like 20 employees or something. You know what I mean? You get companies that have like, 50,000 employees, but you also get a lot of companies that have like 3 employees. You know what I mean? So the average size is about 20 employees. That's like more typical than you think. So these people are not like elites that are like celebrities or something that you can't talk to them. If you approach them, you say something that's professional, that's legitimate, makes a lot of sense. You have a reasonable request that they can easily grant. If they check you out, like they look at your LinkedIn profile or something, like there's no red flags, you look above board, everything checks out. There's no reason why you can't contact these people. These people would love to get talented employees that are passionate about doing a certain job, that have some communication skills, that are professional. These are the types of people that those companies want, you know? So in a way, it's like they're hoping, on some level, they're hoping you'll contact them. That's usually how they find great employees. But I mean, this is where this stuff can go. This is where I'm coming from. It varies by industry, but generally these are, at least in my experience, have been pretty much universal concepts. Marson says, that's a powerful moment when the CEO hands the HR director. Yes, it is. And that happened to one of my students. So, yeah. And they did this right in front of the student. So, I mean, that's even better. They called supposedly alleged. This story comes to me secondhand, so I don't know. But supposedly they were having, the student was in the CEO's office. They were talking. The CEO called in the HR director and said, can you come in here for a moment? And then they handed the HR director the resume and said, like, look into this or something right in front of the student. Like that was their resume. So that's the story. They ended up getting hired. So I'm assuming that's how they got hired. But it goes to show you, I mean, you can make a good impression. Here comes a young person who's passionate about, working in the industry. They obviously said the right things. They sort of like showed interest and they asked very intelligent questions. They got the CEO like talking all about it. And, they obviously came across as professional and charismatic. And basically I'm assuming the CEO said like, wow, you're exactly the kind of person that we want here. You've got all the stuff that we're looking for. You're passionate about this and you've got some initiative. You're talking to me, and you're impressing me, so it led to good things.